I've just realized that I don't actually need to live stream this tutorial like I was planning to. I can just hit the record button in Streamlabs and cut all the mistakes that I'm bound to make. Um, the downside is that little Pichu is going to be stuck down there all on his lonely lonesome. But on the plus side, I can add a little bit of music. Anyway, welcome to my Poke Genie walkthrough slash tutorial slash I don't know what. I noticed on Twitter the other day that Poke Genie have just announced an iOS beta test. Join remote raids with trainers around the world. Simply select the raid boss and Poke Genie will automatically match you with other trainers. As simple as that. Try it out on iOS by joining the beta. This is not an Apple device. This is an Android device, so I do not have access to that just yet. But it does look kind of cool, doesn't it? This is really weird. When I do live streams, I feel like I'm talking to people. Right now, I feel like I'm talking to the air. So in case you don't know, this is a companion app for Pokemon Go. So let me just jump into it and show you what that means. By the way, before you jump in, you do have to tell them your trainer level and your team so that it can properly calculate the IVs of your Pokemon. So once you've installed Poke Genie, you've got it running, you don't really need to do anything within the game. And I'm doing this on Android, it's probably a little bit different on iOS. But so far we haven't had to do anything special with Poke Genie. So once you've caught your Pokemon, you'll see that Poke Genie springs to life and it gives you some information about this guy that you've caught. From this screen, it's not likely to be that accurate. So here it says that this has an individual value of 36 to 62%, which is quite a broad spread. And underneath there, they have what they call PvP IVs, which is basically telling you how good would this little bunny bee be at PvP. And again, the spread here is huge. It says between 9.3% good at PvP and 97.2%. Which seems kind of ridiculous, but what's happened is that Poke Genie haven't got an accurate fix on how good this Pokemon is. So if you load up your appraisal screen, and because they now have this thing called IVision, Poke Genie is constantly reading the screen of your device, and you don't need to click in or refresh it or anything like that, and it will refresh itself with whatever information it can get. So here it's now read the appraisal screen and it's told us that this Bunnelby has an IV of 42%, that it's not great at PvP or in either league, and that we can happily delete this guy, transfer him to the professor, grind him up into candy. Let's try another one. Thanks, Pichu. We'll have a look at Pichu in a second. Okay, we're going to do this again. So we do have a little bit of information about this guy. If we go to the appraisal screen, Poke Genie will scan him, and this time you'll see this little 95% over there. That tells us that this could be a good PvP candidate. So I'm going to do something extra here that we haven't talked about yet, and that is I'm going to use the Poke Genie name generator. So you'll notice here that in my clipboard, I already have a weird name filled out, and this is exactly what I want it to be. I have set Poke Genie to create a name for each Pokemon that I scan, and it puts the IV of the Pokemon at the beginning, and then the name of it, whatever amount of the name it can fit in, followed by the gender, and then it will tell me whether it has a good PvP IV for Great League or Ultra League. In this case, it has a 95% PvP IV for Ultra League. Let's have a look at that Pichu. So Poke Genie is telling me that this Pichu has perfect IVs, 100%, 15, 15, 15. It is a hundo in a hat. But if you look down at the bottom here, it says that it has a PvP IV, or a potential PvP IV, I should say, of 100% if and only if I evolve it into a Raichu. Now, Here's the thing, Poke Genie doesn't know that I am absolutely not going to evolve this Pichu. I'll be keeping her as she is, and maybe, if I get enough Candy Excel, trying to get her up to level 50. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the app itself. So this is the main Poke Genie screen. This is where we put our level and our team in here before. IVision is a function that allows it to automatically scan the Pokemon. If you turn this off and we jump back into Poke Genie, it works ever so slightly differently. So let me just catch a random Pokemon. Litleo. Is it just me, or do Litleos have like higher IVs in general? I'm pretty sure I caught like a Hundo Litleo at the very beginning, like on day 1. It's actually getting dark outside. This video is taking way longer to record than I thought it would. We've caught our little Litleo here, and you'll notice that when IVision is turned off, it doesn't automatically scan the Pokemon. So you have to actually tap this little button in the corner, and you'll get your scan. This is how the app used to be before IVision was added to it a few months back. And ever since this new function came out, I haven't really looked back. It's much better having it automatically scan the Pokemon. That said, it is sometimes a tiny bit buggy. So if you are scrolling through Pokemon, as in scrolling left and right on this screen and trying to scan a lot of Pokemon in a row, it doesn't always scan them properly. And you'll notice when it doesn't do that, because that little cross will be in the wrong place. So the cross basically has to line up with the dot on the CP arc over there, and if it's in the wrong place, the scan results will be wrong. So when you are using IVision, you do need to pay a little bit of extra attention to it, but overall it's so much faster than using the old method that I haven't looked back in the main app with IVision turned on, because it's way better. Okay, so you'll see here there is a list of my Pokemon, and it says, according to this list, I have 4,612 Pokemon. I don't. Nobody does. The maximum I think right now is 3,500. So how come Poke Genie is showing that I have more Pokemon than I actually have? So basically, every time you scan a Pokemon, a little entry for it will be made here. But a lot of the time when you're using Poke Genie, you will be scanning a Pokemon, realizing that you don't want it, and then transferring them to the professor. When you do that, Poke Genie doesn't delete the Pokemon. Remember, there's no integration here between Poke Genie and Pokemon Go. It's just scanning what you show it. So unless you go in and manually delete all the Pokemon that you've transferred, they're just going to show up here. Now for me, and for the way I use the app, it doesn't really matter that much. But for some people, if you're going to use this app to really monitor and maintain your Pokemon collection, you're going to have to do some deleting. Okay, so you've got your list of Pokemon here, and having a look at the top, this first icon is basically just going to jump you back into the Pokemon Go app. This second filtery looking icon is for filters, so you could filter by scan date, for example. And if you just wanted to look for Pokemon that you had scanned in the past hour, you could. What have we scanned? Nothing good, except my Pichu. So the third icon here is for sorting your Pokemon. Right now I've got this sorted by IV, with the highest individual value at the top and the lowest at the bottom. But you could, for example, let's say you were going to do an Ultra League battle, you could sort them by your Ultra League PvP IV, and it would tell you which of the Pokemon that you've caught are the best candidates. And no, I'm not going to evolve Pichu. I'm not. And finally, you've got a search function that searches, and it's got a lot of search commands if you want to use them. There is a list of search terms that just popped up and I promptly dismissed, and I don't know how to get back. But you know, you could search for your favorite Pokemon here too. Okay, so the next function of Poke Genie is the battle simulator. And what this will do is it has a list here of all of the current and upcoming raid bosses. You can do this with any raid boss. You don't need to do it with the current ones. But right now we do have Latios and Latias nearby. And it can look through your list of Pokemon and it can find the best counters. So all you need to do is to press this button down at the bottom, find top counters. And it tells me who I need to use to fight. It also tells me that I'm unable to solo this. So let's build a raid party. So what I suggest you do is you build your raid party first, and then it's ready for when you want to jump into the raid. So we're going to swipe to the right to load up our Poke Genie recommended battle party here, and let's see how good they are. Are you bored yet? And we got him. Not a shiny. So one feature request that I have for Poke Genie is it would be great if it would actually check the IV of the Pokemon from the catch screen. Right now it doesn't, which means that you have to actually catch the guy first before you know whether it's a perfect Pokemon or not. Of course, there are websites that you can go to where they will tell you what CPs to look out for. Come on, Latias, you're on camera. Is this it? Got it. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, and my first Candy XL. And watch Poke Genie spring to life to tell me that this Latias is not very good. Next on the list is the name generator. So the name generator is how you create those custom names that I was copying and pasting into the game. The way that I have it set up is that I put the IV first, followed by the name of the Pokemon, followed by the gender. But you don't have to do that. There's a bunch of preset templates here. The first one is just name and IV. Okay. Then they have name, IV, and level. And what they mean by level is here. Remember that Latias that we just caught? That's a level 20, which means that it hasn't been powered up. Right now in Pokemon Go, you can actually power these all the way up to level 50 if you've got Candy XL. So the next one has the name, and you'll notice that the name gets shortened. That's because in Pokemon Go, you can't actually make the names very long. So with all of this extra information, there's less room for the actual name of your Pokemon. And it has the separate IVs. This is for, let's just jump back into the game. This is the attack, defense, and HP stats. So if you look at my Latias here, it has an overall IV of 76%, but separately it has an attack of 11, defense of 12, and HP of 11. So that could be separated out inside the name as well. So the next one has the IV, and it also has moveset type. So if you've got a Pokemon with a fire type move or a water type move, it can actually use these little symbols to show you what moves they have. And this last one here is for PvP IV, and it will tell you whether or not this Pokemon is a good candidate for Great League or Ultra League. So if none of those preset templates appeal to you, you can actually create your own custom templates. And there's a lot of different attributes here that you can include in your generated name. If you add too many of them, it can start to become a little bit of a mess. But what I include is I put the minimum IV first, and then I use name fill. And the difference between name and name fill, let me just show you that again, is that because the space in names in Pokemon Go is limited, if you start adding all these attributes to the name, you're going to run out of space. So it will shorten the name if there's too many other things. So I use name fill, and then I put the gender of the Pokemon. So the reason that I've included these 3 pieces of information in my generated name is just because of the way that I play Pokemon Go. I try to collect 2 of each Pokemon, 1 male and 1 female, and if I have any more than that, then I will choose to keep the ones with the highest IVs. And having this information in the name of the Pokemon makes that whole process a lot easier. Let's have a look. So here's that Latias that we just caught. And if I go into my Pokedex, and let's see all of the Latias that I've caught over the last few days. Okay, here's another one that we're going to appraise. And you can see here that Poke Genie has immediately generated a name with the IV first, name second, gender third. So the reason that I put the IV first is that you can do this. If I sort my Pokemon by their name, Z to A, it will put the highest IV Pokemon at the top and the lowest at the bottom. So if you're choosing which Pokemon to delete, unfortunately, this one and this one are going to get transferred to the professor. So I've got a few Tepics here that I haven't scanned yet. Okay, this is an interesting one. So like if you saw this Tepic ordinarily, you would think 1-star Tepic, I can delete that. But Poke Genie here is telling me that if I, let's have a look here. If I evolve this and power it up, it could be a good PvP candidate. And the generated name tells us that also. Okay, so looking at this list now, sorted from Z to A, I can see here that I've got a female Tepic with a slightly higher IV than the Pig Knight below her. So just because of the way that I play the game, I'm going to evolve this one. Rename it. And delete this one. And my Tepic collection is looking ever so slightly tidier. Back to Poke Genie. This video is taking forever to make and I'm losing my voice. There's a Pokedex in here too, which has a little bit more information than your standard Pokedex. You can find things like the gender ratio. Moveset ratings in particular are super, super useful. So finally, there's this backup and restore section. And if I have one complaint about Poke Genie, is that the backup and restore function is really, really slow. We're going to be here all day. The slowness of backing up these images, these scans, is such that I never, ever do it. I mean, the last time that I did it was on December the 27th, 2020. And I was probably just making a video about Poke Genie at that time. So right now, my list of Pokemon on my phone and on my tablet are not really synchronized. And I think that's a shame. I mean, it says here that you can turn off backup Pokedex images, and you would assume that that would make it faster. But watch this. It's still backing up the scan images. And it's still going to take forever. We're going to be here all day. So yeah, I never do that. If you just quit out of the app and go back in, then that whole thing will stop. So I'm happy that backup and restore is here. In particular, I use Poke Genie for the name generator, and it will back up those settings into the cloud. But the slowness of backing up your Pokedex entries is such that I just don't do this very often. And when I do back it up, it feels a little bit like a chore. Oh, one more thing. So if you scroll your Pokemon page up just a little bit, it will scan the moves of your Pokemon as well. So if we jump into Poke Genie, it tells me that this Wartortle is not really optimized for attack or defense. So let's say I wanted to optimize him for defense. So if I jump back into Poke Genie here in the Pokedex, and there is a Moveset rating section, and it tells me that for attack, I could use a Water Gun, and then for the charged attack, I could use Hydro Pump. And if I wanted to use this as a defender, I should probably use Ice Beam. Now, I don't know how accurate this information is, but I'm pretty sure that Poke Genie know more about Pokemon attacks than I do. So I guess there's no harm in taking their advice. So let's have a look. We can jump back into Pokemon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an Elite Fast TM here just to see what's available to me. And it tells me that Water Gun is my only option. Now I don't need to use the Elite Fast TM. I come out and then I use the normal TM. So why don't I use the Elite TMs? They're expensive. These are hard to come by. But what they do is because they show you what attacks are available, they give you a bit of an insight into whether or not you can get the move that you want to get. So for me, I want to get Ice Beam for this guy. And the Elite TM tells me that I've got a 50-50 chance of getting Ice Beam. So if I just jump in here and I use a normal charge TM, I forget Aqua Jet, I got Hydro Pump. I told you, 50-50 chance. Let's spin that again. Aqua Jet. Luckily, I've got a lot of these. Hydro Pump. Aqua Jet. Never take my advice. Finally, Ice Beam. And now, hold on a second, let me just scroll this up. So if Poke Genie doesn't update with your new attacks, all you need to do is to tap on them and you can change them manually. So I'll change this one to Water Gun and I'll change this one to Ice Beam. And we can now see that my Wartortle is optimized for defense. So yeah, that's about it really. For me, I really like having Poke Genie, basically for the utility of being able to generate names with information in them that helps me to choose, you know, who to evolve and who to power up, and who to transfer to the professor to grind up into candy. So yeah, Poke Genie is free on Google Play. I believe it's free on iOS as well. Remember, everything that I've shown you here today is on the Android version. The iOS version is slightly different to this. So you'll probably have to find somebody who has a copy of Poke Genie on their iOS device to show you how to use that. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and I hope this video has been helpful. Bye-bye.